Hello. Hi. Let me turn my laptop fan off so you can get some slightly less shit audio. I just felt like filming a video. It's been a while for me. I just went to Norway for a couple of weeks to celebrate Christmas a bit early over there. And now we're gearing up for Christmas here in the UK. And I've got lots of reviews to catch up on, trying to edit them and trying to find the time. But I got sent this link, and I know that the thing of the moment, or at least last week or so, was the Sight and Sound, not annual, every decade, top 100 best films of all time. Interesting list. I hate where it's like, there's like 10 films that are like joint 92nd place. Like, I don't like that. That's just annoying to me. So, my view on these top 100 lists and all this stuff, or lists of the greatest films of all time, it's fun. In fact, there was a great quote from Guillermo del Toro about how, top 10 lists and top lists kind of, for the individual, it's a chance to reveal something about yourself. I think that's and to maybe plant ideas in other people's minds about films that they could be watching or should be watching or whatever else. And that's very much going way off track of what he was saying, but there's the basic idea, and it shouldn't be about who's right or wrong, because that doesn't factor into it. No one is right and no one is wrong about these things. So I have this variety best movies of all time top 100 list. I thought I'd just react to it. I just felt like filming something really easy and fast that doesn't require a lot of editing, that I can just throw up and maybe get some conversations going about what you guys think are like some of the best films ever made from your objective opinion. See, if I was to make a top 100 films list, there's the version where it's my favorites, the subjective version, or which I think are the best. I did a whole series a few years ago called the 50 Greatest Movies Ever, where I counted down in a 5-part series what I thought at that time were the 50 greatest films I'd ever seen. Not my 50 favorites, but the 50 best films I think I'd seen. Anyway, I'm going to try not to look at that collage there, and I'm going to rattle through this fairly quickly and just give brief comments on whether I've seen them, what I think, if I think they're quote unquote great films or not. So yeah, I'm not even sure if I'm in focus right now, but we'll just roll with it. Your focus should probably be mainly on the actual screen itself. The movies are now more than 100 years old. That still makes them a young medium, at least in art form years, true. How old is the novel, the theatre, the painting? Very old indeed. But they're just old enough to make compiling Variety's first ever list of the 100 greatest movies of all time a more daunting task than it once might have been. Variety, which recently celebrated its 117th anniversary, is a publication as old as cinema. We invented box office reporting in additions to the word showbiz and horse opera. Yada 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 yada. Do we want you to argue with this list? Of course we do. Okay. I'm not going to argue with it, but I will comment on it. So, obviously these are some writers and critics who have contributed to this. This isn't obviously as extensive as the Sight and Sound poll. It's a popular thing to do these lists type articles because they get clicks, but I instead of just scrolling to number 1, I thought I'd film a reaction video, and we'll just get into it. So number 100, The Graduate, 1967. Mike Nichols directed? Yep. Yeah, that Graduate's one of the best films I've seen. It's phenomenal all across the board. Should absolutely be on there. Number 99, 12 Angry Men, 1957, Sidney Lumet. I have not seen it. I own it. I know, everyone tells me how great it is. I'll get to it. Number 98, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, 1988. Cassavetes? Nope, not at all. Pedro Almodovar. Okay, right, so, that's an L there for me in terms of knowing what I'm talking about. Heard of it, don't know anything about it, haven't seen it. 97, Alien. Interesting. I think I would put Alien in my top 100 best films. I think it's one of the best horror films ever made. It's a fantastic film. Absolutely brilliant. Ridley Scott, amazing. Sigourney Weaver, love her. 96, A Hard Day's Night, 1964, Richard Lester. Have not seen it. I'm more intrigued to see it now that I've seen the Get Back Beatles documentary, which was fantastic editorially and an abomination to cinema visually. 95, Toy Story. Okay, from 1995, John Lasseter. Still, I think one of Pixar's best, one of my favorite films from my childhood. I don't know whether I'd put it in this kind of list, but it's nice to see it. I'm intrigued to see how many animated films. 94, Bridesmaids, 2011. Now, for anyone who says to me, like, when you're going to do more Epic Film Challenge 2 reviews, me and Connie reviewed this, like, years ago. It's in the can. There's all sorts of, like, tricky timeline things with that series that make it difficult to... But we filmed a review of this, and we both really enjoy it, but it's not all that. It's very funny, but I don't get the hype. 93, Les Samurai, 1967. This film, you know, Jean-Pierre Melville has a very high prestige to it. I know a lot of people think highly of this. I have not seen it and really avoid it just in terms of I don't even want to know what it's about. I'll just sit down and watch it when I do. 92, Pink Flamingos, 1972. John Waters has never appealed to me. I'll probably watch it at some point out of just, you know, I guess I gotta see it, right? 91, Scenes from a Marriage, 1974. Of course, the epic drama from Ingmar Bergman. I haven't seen it. It's in the big box. Obviously, the box set that I have, I look forward to getting around to it one day. Liv Ullmann is a great actress, you know, Norwegian. And yeah, it's, you know, I know they recently remade this with Oscar Isaac and Jessica Chastain. I'm in no rush to get to it, but looking forward to it when I do. Number 90, The Shining, 1980. If we're talking all-time horror, that one has to be there too. I approve of that for sure. Stanley Kubrick. Belle de Jour, 1967, 89. Louis Buñuel. I've not done well with Buñuel. I don't like his early stuff, and that's all the stuff I've seen. Was it Land Without Bread and Age of Gold, and I liked Un Chien Andalou, but I don't get on with his earlier stuff, and I just need to see more of his later work. 88, Malcolm X, 1992. So I don't know who directed. Norman Jewison directed it. No, they should put the director underneath the thing here to make it a bit more clear. I've not seen it. We'll absolutely get around to it at one point. 87, The Sound of Music. 1965, The Hills Are Actually Alive. I have seen bits and pieces of this. I think my mum liked this, so I think she might have had it on a few times. Otherwise, it's one I definitely want to go back and properly watch at some point. 86, Close Up from 1990. This is a brilliant film by Abbas Kiarostami. An amazing story. And the way that he captured it is, you've just got to see it and then wonder to yourself, what did I just see? And then you got to look up the true story, and it's about a super fan, and it's part documentary, part reconstructed. I mean, how do you even, there's a film that's hard to define. This was in, I think, the top 10 of the Sight and Sound poll. I wouldn't go that far, but it is an absolutely brilliant film, and I'm hoping we'll see another Kiarostami film on the list, because he's just a phenomenal director. 85, Natural Born Killers, 1994. Have not seen it. It feels like one that I'll have to watch at some point. 84, Pan's Labyrinth, Guillermo del Toro, 2006. Very good film. I need to see it again, I think. I don't know what it was the first time I watched it. I didn't take it in fully, I don't think. Kramer versus Kramer at 83, 1979. I agree with this. The acting in this is phenomenal. Drama about these two parents who are going through a divorce, and they have a son. It's a phenomenal film. Me and Connie watched it and reviewed it, I think. Great stuff. 82, we have Parasite from 2019. Very popular film. Is on a lot of people's top 10s. Made the Sight and Sound list. Bong Joon-ho made history with the Oscars. Phenomenal film. I love it. Have no qualms with it being here. The Dark Knight, 81, 2008. Parasite, The Dark Knight. I mean, if we're looking at the order of the list here, I like The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight. But it's, you know, this thing of it being one of the greatest films ever made is a bit... I think I did put it actually in my 50 greatest films. And I think I would go against that now. I don't know. I seem to have soured on the Christopher Nolan Batman films a little bit. Maybe I just need to see them again. You know, that might be part of it. I don't know. But, you know, Heath Ledger, it's become over-explained Heath Ledger and overpraised, but he really is that amazing in the film. And it's a damn good action film, and a great Batman film. It's not my style of Batman. For me, the Burton films got it the best. I loved the new Robert Pattinson one. I loved the feel of that. That was so different. But yeah, 80 from 1980, we have Pixote. So we have Hector Babenko, who directed this. I've never heard of this one. So I was intrigued to see if there'd be anything I hadn't heard of, and I haven't heard of this one. So going across 79, we have Waiting for Guffman, 1996. I just got the Blu-ray of this recently in the premium collection. I heard someone talking about this in a podcast somewhere and how funny it was. But yeah, it's a comedy. It's the Christopher Guest kind of usual suspects. So definitely I bought it, so I want to see it. At 78 we had Jean Dielman, 23, Croix du Commerce, 1080, Bruxelles, from 1975. I have no idea how you pronounce any of that. And this, of course, made waves when it was voted #1 in the Sight and Sound poll of greatest films of all time. And Paul Schrader lost his absolute ever-loving shit over it, which was really funny. I haven't seen it. I probably will at some point. I'm in no rush. But there you go. And this is directed by Chantal Akerman. Oh wow, it even says here, maddening at times, yet never less than mesmerizing. It's the very best film of its kind, but hardly the best film of all time. Okay, well, there you go. I don't know who wrote that, but... number 77, Goldfinger, 1964, probably is one of the best Bond films, one of my favorites. I Must Be Dreaming, you know. Sean Connery's fantastic. I wish I had the director. I don't know who directed this one. It's gone. Wow, 76, The Tree of Life. I highly approve of this. 2011, Terrence Malick, a masterpiece. I can't wait to... I'm given the... given a wide berth before I watch the longer cut that the Criterion Collection put together. I think it's an amazing film about family and life and death, and takes such big swings, and I think it's a profoundly moving film. Beautifully shot, beautifully performed. Number 75, Boogie Nights, 1997. Unfortunately for me, this is the film that I always think of. The first thing I think of straight away is just William H. Macy saying, "My wife's in the driveway with an ass in her cock." And it's just, one of those flubs that was left in the movie. Anyway, I saw it when it came out. I think I was probably just intrigued, or well, more than intrigued and interested in the sexual content of the film as a young adolescent, but I have not watched it as a normal adult. So I do love Paul Thomas Anderson stuff, so I'd like to go back to that at some point. 1974, we have The King, Hayao Miyazaki, My Neighbor Totoro, 1988. It is one of the best films. It is a warm hug of cinema. Phenomenal film. This is one that was one of my least favorites of his. I mean, I watched it and I loved it, but stacked up to his other films, it wasn't that high for me. But it's just been on rotation, and I love it more and more. It's as good as everyone says it is. Intolerance, 1916, number 73. Getting into some silent cinema. I will say about this one, I prefer the separate cut of this. So there's Intolerance takes place over 4 timelines, and I think that 2 of them get a little bit muddled in the mix in this epic 3-hour movie. D.W. Griffith, controversial director of The Birth of a Nation. The Mother and the Law works better as its own film, I think, and The Fall of Babylon works better as its own film, and so he re-released them a few years later in the late 1910s, I believe, and I do think they work better as separate films, even though Intolerance is a great epic and everything. I think you do better to leave the, I think it's the French Revolution and the story of Christ. Those two just feel undercooked compared to the modern set drama with the mother, and then the Fall of Babylon, which is just, you know, unbelievable spectacle on a Hollywood scale. Number 72, Breaking the Waves, 1996, Lars von Trier. Haven't seen it. I've heard of it. We'll watch it at some point. Number 71, My Best Friend's Wedding. Really? 1997? I think I saw this when I was a teenager. You know. Yeah, I don't know. Who directed this one? With apologies to Nora Ephron. Did Nora Ephron direct this one? I don't know if she did. Why would they say apologies if it's on the list of best films? Oh, okay. Apologies to her because it's the most delectable and heartbreaking rom-com of its era. Yeah, P.J. Hogan. Okay, I'm assuming that's the director. That's an interesting one. 12 Years a Slave, 2013. Great film. I haven't felt an urge to revisit it for obvious reasons, I suppose. It's a tough watch. Yeah, it didn't stick with me overall. There's some great scenes in there, which sounds really bad. Like, oh yeah, there's a few good scenes. No, but you know, the overall picture of the film, I mean, it's been almost 10 years now since it came out, but I did think it was a great film when I watched it. 69, Beau Travail, 1999. Have the Criterion Blu-ray, have not seen it. This is Claire Denis. 68, we have the original Hong Kong, 1933. Classic, you know, very important film in the history of cinema, and you know, that huge turning point in the early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, with sound coming in. It is still a jaw-dropping film to look at, and yeah, I would agree with that. Probably it's a very important film in film history. Marion C. Cooper. Number 67, Bicycle Thieves, 1948. I find this a bit overrated. I thought it was good, and it's bleak, obviously, so it's hard to get into, per se, but I didn't think it was as, you know, one of the best films ever made. Great when I watched it. Maybe I need to see it again. This is Vittorio De Sica. There'll be some mispronunciations in this. I apologize. Number 66, Paris is Burning, 1990. Have not heard of this one, and obviously then have not seen it. 65, A Man Escaped, 1956, Robert Bresson. Have not seen this one. Most of these, like, I know of because I'm going to have to watch them at some point for the 1001 Movies series, the Epic Film Challenge too. So, number 64, we have Carrie, 1976. It is very good. I'd need to see it again maybe, but I wouldn't have it up there. 63, Bambi. Okay, so we have another animated film, 1942. This is one I haven't seen since I was literally about 3 years old. I'm very intrigued to go back to this 3 decades on, but can't really comment on it now. Dazed and Confused, wow. 62, 1993. Richard Linklater's second major film. He done a feature film before Slacker, so this is his third feature film technically. Man, this film is just like hangouts. I love this film so much, you know. It's what I like about those high school girls, man. God. It's such a it's a fun line, but it's so creepy when you think about it. And Matthew McConaughey's like, I get older, they stay the same age. Got the whole alright origins there. You got young Ben Affleck, there's young Mila Jovovich. There's lots of the cast is completely stacked, but it's like, it's literally just like hanging out with like it's great. It's such a blast. I don't know if I'd put it on my 100 best films, but you know, I do love it. 61, The Passion of Joan of Arc, 1928. I need to see this one again because when I watched it, I had a really bad bowl of cereal that was like really chewy, not chewy, like it took me a while. It was like muesli, and that's always stuck in my head. I need to wipe that clean and watch this film again. But the performance by you know, Falconetti is pretty remarkable. This is of course Carl Theodor Dreyer. I need to see it again. 60, Moulin Rouge, 2001. You know, if you grew up when this film came out, you knew all about it, but I've never seen it and never felt an urge to see it. Maybe I will at some point. Baz Luhrmann there. Number 59, Vagabond from 1985. You know, the love of my life, Agnes Varda. May she rest in peace, one of my favorite directors, and this film is phenomenal. This is about a wandering vagabond, you know, this homeless woman, and it tells the story of her wandering life basically across a series of disconnected tracking shots. There's all these tracking shots throughout the movie, and then we see another episode of this woman's life, and it's a very kind of tragic film, but there's some real moments of light, and a hilarious scene with an old woman when she gets drunk with her. But this is, yeah, fantastic film. Sandrine Bonnaire is great as Mona, the lead character. 58, E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982, Spielberg, John Williams, Henry Thomas, Drew Barrymore, whoever put together and operated the E.T. puppet, all those people create such palpable magic in this film. What an incredible film. Wholly approve of that. Number 57, Brokeback Mountain, 2005, Ang Lee. I have not seen it, and I'd like to. Number 56, Rosemary's Baby, 1962. This is a fucked up film. There's so much dread in Rosemary's Baby. Of course, Roman Polanski. I watched it once, reviewed it. I don't feel the need to see it again. It was just very unsettling, and I appreciated it from a filmmaking perspective and performances, but it wasn't something I feel the urge to go back to. I ended up selling the criterion of that. 55, Path of Pancharlie. Oh, this should be higher. Come on, not even the top 50. 955, Satyajit Ray. This is the first of the Apu trilogy, and far and away the best of the Apu trilogy. The light in this kid's eyes is just wonderful in this film. It's, God, I love it. It's an amazing film. I forget the English title of it. It's something Road or something, but you know, this is, I mean, you know, they talk about, you know, again, like a regional riff on Italian neorealism. You want to take that kind of neorealism idea of a film. Bicycle Thieves, Path of Pancharlie. Path of Pancharlie for me is so much more than something like Bicycle Thieves. I don't want to, like, you know, pit two films against each other, but yeah, this is an absolutely wonderful film about boyhood, you know, and long before Richard Linklater's Boyhood, but it really is that. And the whole cast is phenomenal. It just feels so real and alive, and what a great story. Love it. 54, The Road Warrior, 1981. This is Mad Max 2, right? George Miller. I've only seen Fury Road and the original Mad Max, so I can't comment on that one, but I mean, that's a hell of an image to lead with, for sure. 53, In the Mood for Love, 2000. So this is Wong Kar-wai, Maggie Cheung, and Tony Leung. I wish I knew how to pronounce those names. I prefer Chungking Express out of the Wong Kar-wai films I've seen. I do get the hype on this one, but I need to see it again. You know, it's so much subtle longing. You know, it's subtle longing, the movie. And Tony Leung, I wish I knew how to say his name, because he's like one of the best fucking actors I've ever seen in my entire life. He just oozes charisma. He's incredible. Maggie Chang's great, so I need to see that one again. But it's difficult for me, because I see how good it is, but it's difficult at the same time, because I felt a little bit underwhelmed by the end, perhaps. 52, The General, 1926. This should be higher. This is one of the greatest films ever made. Buster Keaton. Not quite his best film. His best film for me is, I think, Our Hospitality from 1923, but you know, this is certainly his most spectacular film, and it probably his second best. I just think the story in Our Hospitality is a little bit more refined and interesting, but the spectacle here is unbelievable. It's you know, the whole movie is a chase on a train, and the climax is an actual full steam train crashing into a river through a burning bridge. It's one of the most spectacular things you'll ever see in a movie, and it's hilarious and brilliant. 51, Apocalypse Now, 1979, Francis Ford Coppola. Never seen it. I have the Blu-ray, and it's slightly intimidating because there's about 18 different cuts of it, so one to get around to. Number 50, we have Breathless, 1960. You know, Godard, Jean-Luc Godard. Have not enjoyed his films that much that I've seen. I know this is one of the bigger ones, but I haven't seen it yet. 49, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, 1974. Tobe Hooper. I appreciate it as a horror film. I don't like it that much. It would be in like a important horror movies list, but not in the best films of it. This film above The General and like fuck off, you know, come on. Doesn't even compare. I mean, you know, that ending with the chainsaw and the girl laughing with the blood, I mean, that's an incredible image, but the whole movie, I mean, nah. 48, The Piano, 1993. Who directed this one? Jane Campion. Not seen it. Couldn't really be less interested, but, you know, I wouldn't not watch it. It's just, I don't, period films aren't that much of a draw to me. I will watch them and enjoy them. 47, Mean Streets, 1973. I have this one on Blu-ray to watch. It's in the book. Of course, an early Martin Scorsese film. De Niro, haven't seen it. 46, Notorious, from 1946. I really want to get to the round to this one. I mean, it's got, you know, Ingrid Bergman, Cary Grant, and Claude Rains. I love Claude Rains, man. But that's one of the Hitchcock ones I have not seen yet. Titanic, 45, 1997. Might be controversial for some. I would put it higher. I think this is one of the all-time great films. I absolutely love this film. Ever since I saw it in the cinema 25 years ago, as a 9-year-old kid, fell in love with it then, and it's only improved. And the last time I watched it, it really emotionally choked me up, and I thought, what the fuck? I was worried that, like, I was going to be watching it, you know, after all these years and, like, you know, laughing at the memes and all that, but no, everything felt so earnest, and it landed, and it's the quickest 3-hour movie ever. It just zips by, it really does. 44, obviously James Cameron. I think it's great, you know. But anyway, so I don't want to get drawn into Titanic, so I keep talking. La Ventura, 1960, number 44 on the list. This is Michelangelo Antonioni's first masterpiece, apparently. Have the Criterion, still haven't watched it, big surprise. 43, Shoah, 1985, Claude Lanzmann. Obviously, this film has a prestige to it as well, but I just, you know, it's a big one. I have the Blu-ray. 42, Moonlight, 2016, incredible film. Can't really argue with it. I think some of the performance in this, particularly by, is it going to say her name? Naomi, no, what is her name? That's going to really, I'm just going to get, I got fanboys up on my Wikipedia. I have to name check her because she's so great in the film and should have won an Oscar for it. Naomi Harris. She is, oh, there's a meme on Twitter for you. She is so good in that film. 41, The Wild Bunch, 1969. Have not seen it. Sam Peckinpah. 40, Fargo, 1996. Didn't see the hype in this one when I first watched it. Coen Brothers film. Second time I thought it was great. So this one might grow and grow for me, but I wouldn't say it's one of the best films. 39, Some Like It Hot, 1959. Billy Wilder, one of those towering classics of cinema I've yet to see. 38, Lawrence of Arabia, 1962. Absolutely. I watched this year, 2022, for the first time with my good friend Sean, aka Zaron Isaac. You'll be seeing that at some point in one of my 24-hour movie marathons. Absolutely amazing film from David Lean. What an epic. Love it. Absolutely deserving of being in that list. 37, Annie Hall, 1977. I don't really... I would allow it, quote unquote. I don't really like Woody Allen, but it is a very good film, and Diane Keaton is great. Number 36, On the Waterfront, 1954. It could have been a contender for the top 10, but it just missed it. So this is Elia Kazan, Marlon Brando. I thought it was great when I watched it. It's been many years since I've seen it. I'd need to go back to it. But it almost feels like one way. It's like you just have to put it in there, you know. But yeah, anyway. 38, Silence of the Lambs, 1991. Yeah, I would agree with that. This is a phenomenal film all across the board. Jonathan Demme, Anthony Hopkins, Jodie Foster. It's just, everything's firing on all cylinders. Everything works. It's fucking great. 34, Stagecoach, 1939. It's an alright film. I don't think it's worthy. It's John Ford, but it's a bit too high on the list for me. I wouldn't even put it on the list. I like it, but, you know. 33, 8½, 1963. Haven't seen this one yet. Fellini. I'm very, very minimal on Fellini, unfortunately. 32 is Vertigo, from 1958, Alfred Hitchcock. I like it, but I think the hype hurts it. Greatest film of all time? I don't know. I need to see it again. I liked it a lot. I love anything set in San Francisco. I love Jimmy Stewart and all that, but it just yeah, I need to see it again. 31 Network, 1976. I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. What a film. I'd put it like lower down, but probably maybe in the top 100 films I've seen. The performances in this. Peter Finch. It's just, you know, Sidney Lumet. It's great. It's a fucking phenomenal film. Number 30, The Empire Strikes Back, 1980. As far as this kind of film goes, I agree. One of the all-time best. Enough said. Irving Kershner, you know, one of my all-time favorite films. 29, Double Indemnity, 1944. This is another one that's a bit overhyped for me, Billy Wilder. I like it, I just don't love it. Need to see it again. 28, City Lights from 1931. Now I know that the best Chaplin film is not going to be on here, but Limelight from 1952 is Chaplin's best film for me. I think that his sound work is much superior to his silent work. But City Lights is very, very good. It's just a little maudlin for me. It's a bit, you know, biting his teeth. I've never liked that side of Chaplin all the time. Sometimes it works, but when you hear his voice and he's a bit more subtle, like in Limelight, amazing. So number 27, Bonnie and Clyde, 1967. Haven't seen this one yet. Warren, what did you do? Yeah, this is one of those classics I just haven't got around to. The 400 Blows, 1959, in at number 26. It's great. It really is great. I'm eager to revisit that one. I think there's been a new restoration, but yeah, it has a reputation for a reason, you know. Truffaut, it's a classic. Wow, Bringing a Baby, 1938, number 25. This is an exhausting film, the dialogue, and it's like 2 hours of Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn just... It's nuts, but I love it. Yeah, so Howard Hawks, I wouldn't put it in a top 100 greatest films list, but I do love it. Tokyo Story, 24, 1953, Ozu, you know, yeah, this is one of the best films ever made. You know, it really drives home a lot about family, and yeah, I've seen a few of his films, but this is far and away the most powerful, and kind of a remake of Make Way for Tomorrow, which is also a fantastic film. 23, The Apartment. Wow, we're really getting into some fucking great... 1960, Billy Wilder. This is a great, great film. Highly approve of that one being there. Chinatown, I haven't got to yet. 1974, in at number 22, Roman Polanski. I have it, but I haven't watched it yet. Gone with the Wind, 21. You kind of have to, I guess. 1939. Who directed this one? I don't know the director of this one, actually. It doesn't even seem to be in the description here, which is stupid. It is great. It is sweeping. It is epic. You do get taken away with the wind with it, but yeah, I don't know. It's not an easy film to go back to again and again because of the length, I suppose. But you know, I see where it's coming from. Blue Velvet. Wow, I was not expecting to see that. 1986, number 20, David Lynch. Pretty much the Dale Cooper prequel movie. Now it's very good, but I wouldn't say it's one of the greatest. You know, I want to see that again. I've seen it a couple of times now, but yeah. Godfather Part 2, that seems low on the list. Number 19, 1974, Francis Ford Coppola. In recently revisiting the trilogy, I actually think the first one is the best. I originally thought Part 2 was superior, but I think the first one's the best. Persona, 1966, and at number 18, from Ingmar Bergman. Phenomenal film, very absorbing, very unique, highly recommended. 17, Nashville, 1975, Robert Altman. Own it, but haven't seen it. Casablanca, it's got to be there, and it really is that good. You know, it's one of those films that it gets overpraised and brought up, you know, so many times, but it really is that great. Number 16, 1942. You know, got, you know, Bergman and Bogart. I don't know who directed this one. Michael Curtiz. Number 15, Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans. 1927. F.W. Murnau. it's one of the best films ever made. Absolutely had to be there. I'm so glad it was there. I didn't even think of it, but what an amazing film. Just absolute stone cold classic, one of the best films. Do the Right Thing. This seems very popular. I own the Criterion, haven't seen it yet. 1989, number 14. Spike Lee. I'll get to it. Number 13, The Rules of the Game, 1939. This is Jean Renoir. Yep, Renoir. On the Criterion, haven't seen it yet. Number 12, Goodfellas, 1990. I get it. It is great. Is it that great? I don't think so. But it's a fun film, and it really shouldn't be. And in that sense, it's very grim, you know. But, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting, Goodfellas, and Scorsese, I don't know. I wouldn't put it that high, at least. I'd need to see it again, I think. There's never enough time to see these things again and get your re-informed opinions. Number 11, Singing in the Rain, 1952. Have not seen it. Musicals are not my favourite, but I do want to see it, so I will get to it at some point. Now we're in the top 10 territory. Saving Private Ryan, 1998. I was always drawn to this because my surname is Ryan, but I've still never seen it. Maybe next year for the 25th anniversary. I have the Blu-ray. It's just putting aside the time. And with war movies, I never get excited to watch them, but when I'm watching them and they're good, I usually end up really liking them. So that's number 10. What's number 9? That's obviously Spielberg. All About Eve, 1950, in at number 9. Can't fault it. What a film. Bette Davis, Joseph L. Mankiewicz, and Anne Baxter. Oh, Anne Baxter's great in this. I think this is an early appearance from Marilyn Monroe. This is just what a fucking great film. Number 8, It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. Highly approved. This is just one of the best kind of like emotional movies ever. I love it. Frank Capra, Jimmy Stewart. If you're not, you know, choked up at the end, then you are a robot. Number 7, 2001: A Space Odyssey, had to be there. 1968, Stanley Kubrick. Really do need to see it again. I should see it on the big screen, I think, before I really fully get my opinion on this. It's brilliant visually, but it's a slog. Number 6, Seven Samurai, 1954. Bit low on the list, isn't it? That's my pick for the greatest film ever made, bar none, hands down. Akira Kurosawa. Man, is this the only Kurosawa film in the list? That's a bit suspect, isn't it? No Ran, you know. I'm trying to think, like Rashomon, Ran. Well, yeah, those are probably the three that I would say like his like quote unquote best. Even if my favorites are kind of a little bit more different, I would say Desu Uzala should be on this list. But you know, I'm glad that Seven Samurai, the greatest film of all time, is at least in the top 10. Number 5, we have Pulp Fiction, 1994. Pulp Fiction for me is vastly overrated, I think, and I absolutely love it. It's phenomenal. But I think, like, you know, one of the best films ever made. Not really, you know. The dialogue's amazing. It's fun. It's inventive. It's so entertaining. But you know, oh, maybe that is all you need. I don't know. Number 4, after that Quentin Tarantino 90s classic, is Citizen Kane. Very interesting. Usually the number 1 in these kinds of lists. 1941. Of course, Orson Welles, again, 25 years old when he made this. Another one of those films that is just talked about so much, and then you watch it and go, yeah, it's fucking great. Number 3, The Godfather, 1972. Francis Ford Coppola. Yeah, I don't agree with The Godfather being this high up in these greatest films list, but it's up there. It's in the conversation for sure. Now, what would be number 2 and 1? Now The Godfather and Citizen Kane are out of the way. 2001 is gone. Vertigo's gone. Holy shit! Like, surely not Psycho? No. I'm trying to think. Like, what the films that usually get like, you know, that's the best film. Don't tell me Shawshank Redemption. Don't tell me Shawshank fucking Redemption is number 1. Right, what's number 2? The Wizard of Oz. Okay, 1939. It's a classic. Number 2. This had a bunch of directors, I think. Oh no, Victor Fleming. Okay. Yeah, I love The Wizard of Oz. It's a phenomenal film, absolute classic. But what's number one? Let's just see. Let's just see. Psycho. Well, hey, Shawshank Redemption didn't make it. I love Shawshank Redemption. It's just not the best film of all time. Psycho number one. Interesting. Huh. Well, there you go. I like Psycho. It's a very good film. Yeah, is there anything else I think should be in there that isn't? I don't know. I have 5 minutes of battery left. Or, is it battery or tape? No, 5 minutes of recording time left. Wow. Let me think. Well, Desu Uzala, for one. Portrait of a Lady on Fire, I think should be there. I don't know. Yeah, that's... A lot more animated stuff should be in there too. I think, again, I could be here all day just saying what I think should be in a list like this, but Psycho is an intriguing one. I mean, the most of them are like, it fits. Wizard of Oz, Godfather, Citizen Kane, you know, Pulp Fiction, Seven Samurai, 2001, It's a Wonderful Life, All About Eve. It's a pretty solid top 10, but very strange placements at times, I think. But yeah, Psycho. I wouldn't have pegged that. There's other films for sure that I would have. Well, not for the top spot, but just in general, there's a few. But yeah, it is what it's. That's what these lists are. They incite discussion. Very light on animation. I think just Toy Story and Bambi and My Neighbor Totoro. It's as if they went, well, let's get a Disney, a Pixar, and a Ghibli done. I would say Grave of the Fireflies, The Tale of the Princess Kaguya. I would say on the Disney side of things, probably Fantasia. The Lion King, sorry, it's fucking great. Pixar side of things, I would say Inside Out. I would also say Coco. I think that's an incredible film. Inside Out, though, is just wonderful. But yeah, anyway, I'm gonna leave it there. So that was, I wanted to make this like a quick 10-minute video where I would just rattle through everything, but it turned into a bit longer than that. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you all have a good Christmas. That I'm gonna be trying to pump out as many videos as I can over the next week or so before the end of the year. And I might do some sort of like, you know, channel update at the end. So we'll see what happens. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. What are for you the greatest films you've ever seen? Well, what would be your top 10? You know, I'd say I ask these things, one, to get comments going so that it boosts the video up a bit, more people see it and more people comment. But mainly I like to see these comments, and comments have been pretty liked on my channel lately, which is a shame. I would really love to see what would your top 10 greatest films of all time list be, because they're all going to be different, and I would love to see what people would put up there. So, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good Christmas, happy holidays, and everything else in between. And I'll see you with many more videos to come that I'm currently editing. Goodbye.